Good afternoon, I'm Specialist Flores, and today I will be briefing you on why diversity is important in our Army. Risk assessment is low. We are inside with an ample amount of lighting. Everybody is seated. Just be mindful of the others around you. There's a fire, head to the nearest door. What is diversity? Diversity is the difference between everybody in the Army. It's the color of our skin. It's whether you're white, you're black, you're Asian, you're Hispanic, or you're Indian. What is multiculturalism? Multiculturalism, summed up, is the acceptance of people coming from all different backgrounds and different walks of life. In general, just saying that no particular group should be privileged. Facts about diversity in our Army. Racial and ethnic minority groups make up to 40% of the Department of Defense active duty military. 14% of the United States Army are women. We have 182,000 females. Overall, we have 1.3 million active duty U.S. Army soldiers. Our first African American general in 1898 was Benjamin O. Davis. He actually lied about his age to enlist in the Army, so he didn't have to get his parents' consent. Until this day, on his gravestone, it says the birthday that he gave the Army and not his real birthday. Since then, we have had 81 African American general officers in our ranks. Important diverse holidays. January 20th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Martin Luther King Jr. was a social rights activist in the 50s and 60s. He organized a number of peaceful protests. Martin Luther worked hard, non-stop, to bring equality into America. He fought vigorously to end racial segregation. His "I Have a Dream" speech is one of the most famous speeches in world history. That speech inspired countless men and women to stand up against racial inequality and segregation. His bravery had led us today to be more unified and together as a nation. February is Black History Month. African Americans were actually first barred from enlisting in the Army until 1862. After that comes Women's History Month in March. I believe that Women's History Month in March is very important for the Army to celebrate. This is a time to honor the accomplishments and sacrifices women have made for our country. I really don't believe the Army would be where we are today without them. Women have served our country since the American Revolution. Our first African American female to enlist in the Army was Private Kathy Williams. She was actually forced to serve due to her being a captured slave. During her enlistment, she received very little medical examination and was actually honorably discharged after discovering she was a female in 1868. In 1948, an Integration Act was passed, letting women serve in all branches of the military. Approximately 350,000 women joined the military during World War II. Their common jobs worked as nurses, they drove trucks, and they repaired airplanes. Over 1,600 nurses received various decorations for courage under fire. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Month. In 2012, there were approximately 65,000 immigrants serving in the United States Army. Recent trends actually show that Asian Americans, particularly from California, are enlisting at a higher rate and choosing non-combat jobs. June is Gay Pride Month. In 2010, Congress repealed the discriminatory Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, which prevented gay, lesbian, and bisexual service members from serving openly and with honesty. September 15th to October 15th is for Hispanic Heritage Month. Officially, since 1899, Puerto Ricans were allowed to join the U.S. military. Since then, we have hundreds and thousands of them in our ranks today. November is Indian Heritage Month. According to the Department of Defense, 24,000 of the 1.3 million active duty members are Indian Americans. During World War II, the United States recorded 29 Indian Navajo men. They were selected because they created a very complicated code to transmit over the radio. Before them, the Germans were cracking the United States codes very easily, and we couldn't figure out why. After the Navajo men used their codes that was impossible to break, we were victorious at Iwo Jima. After World War II, the code remained unbroken. Why is diversity good for the Army? As the United States of America is becoming more and more diverse every year, so is our military. I believe that's actually a good thing that our military is becoming more and more diverse. In conclusion, having a diverse Army brings a wide majority of high-performing individuals to work together. When you do that, you bring people with all different skill assets. Some will be stronger in other areas and some will be weaker in other areas. But when you put them together, they fill in the cracks and they perform at a very high, fast-performing speed. Bringing soldiers together with all different races and ethnicities with different skill sets forces them to collaboratively work together at a fast, high-performing pace to accomplish a certain goal to be achieved. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Not to be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." His actions displayed that we can overcome any obstacle when unified, because we are land of the free, home of the brave. I will now conduct an after-action review. What was supposed to happen? I was supposed to give a brief on why diversity is important in the Army. What did happen? I provided facts on why diversity is important in the Army. Can I get some improvements that I can use on my next speech I'm going to give? Now can I get some sustainments that I can use on my next speech as well? At this time, if there are any questions or areas that need to be clarified, please don't be afraid to ask or come to me after this class is over. This is the end of my brief.